Down goes Skuntank. Boston putting all his hopes and dreams in the two-shielded bear. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down. Send out the panda bear. Fighting types normally good into normal types, but not this far behind energy trailblaze. Forced to protect shield. We reach the Swift, and it's time to hit him with that bang. There it is. As always, shout out to the GOAT, Oxford U. We all miss you, buddy. We hope to see you upload again soon. So welcome back to the channel. Once again, we are back at it with my favourite battler in the world. You know what I'm talking about. The one, the only Xboston. If you're on my Discord, you'll know exactly who Xboston is. If you don't, you're about to find out. Xboston has one of the thickest shadow rosters I have ever seen anywhere. For those of you that know Boston, he loves to run a meme team. He sometimes likes to run theme teams. Every now and again, he stumbles across a combination of a meme and theme team that happens to be the dream team. And today is that rare occasion. He's running a triple shadow, triple trailblaze team, and he simply could not stop winning. Today we've got not one, not two, but 3 sets of Go Battle League action. These are not hand selected, they are straight sets, with Boston boosting his way to victory through the Open Ultra League. Without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game 1, Boston leads Shadow Ursaring into Venusaur, a pretty neutral matchup. Ursaring does have the pace and advantage as Swift is so incredibly spammy this season. Boston attempts to catch a Frenzy Plant onto Skuntank unsuccessfully. The opponent banks a boatload of energy before sending out Warrain, and Warrain's instantly greeted with the Trailblaze that not only hits for super effective but also vamps up our attack. The opponent then overfarm, playing to the CMP tie. They do not win. While we're on them shoutouts, of course shout out Home Size Henry for that quote. The opponent invests the Protect Shield, fire off the Icicle Sphere. Skuntank withstands the damage, able to poison jab farm down. Back out comes Venusaur, and Venusaur is going to look to dump some energy. Frenzy Plant secures the knockout. I'm anticipating Ursaring re-entering the field of play and looking to fire off the Swift to pressure the final shield, but Boston, quite an unorthodox battler. Like Jamie Finn, what do you know about anything? I'm going to send out Donphan, double shield, and look for a full Mud Slap farm down. Boston shields up both Frenzy Plants. The opponent pivots out into Ampharos, and this game is already signed, sealed, and delivered. The opponent unwilling to shield the first Trailblaze. They don't even reach a charge move. Donphan Mud Slap farms down everything, and we're off to a 1-0 start. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Verizon in the lead. This thing is somewhat of an issue for Boston. Both Ursaring and Donphan will be getting beaten by Verizon. So Boston, looking to make good of a bad situation, just does as much damage as he physically can before sacrificing Ursaring to the Pokegods. Sacred Sword secures the knockout, and here comes Skuntank. Skuntank easily survives one Sacred Sword. It can tank 2 in fairness, but will be left low. The opponent not wanting to give us any free farm, switch out into Heliolisk, and here comes Donphan. Holy cow, look at this Mud Slap damage. Boston shields up the breaking swipe. The opponent doesn't even reach another one. Back out comes Verizon. Boston going for the resisted Trailblaze, looking to vamp up his attack. Trailblaze forces the protection, and Boston able to reach the body slam on the charge attack priority. The opponent actually invests their final Protect Shield, petrified at Donphan. What the hell is in the back? Boston unwilling to shield Donphan. I'll be honest, I was expecting to get knocked out by a Leaf Blade, but clearly the opponent doesn't have it. They must have Stone Edge as a second move. And now it's all revealed as why they were petrified of that vamped up Mud Slap damage, as out comes Tentacruel. Boston once again, unwilling to shield Skuntank, knowing Donphan is going to have enough in the tank to clean up Boston, able to reach the body slam. Body slam will be removing Tentacruel from the field of play. Back out comes Verizon. Boston able to resist it, Mud Slap farm down, and take that game. In the next battle, Boston wins lead. Gator is such an annoying pest because that combination of Shadow Claw and the Hydro Cannon spam just adds up in neutral situations, but Ursaring, being a normal type, double resist that Shadow Claw quick move. Boston fires off the Trailblaze, forcing himself an early shield advantage. Holy cow, we're so glassy. I say we resist Shadow Claws, you may as well say we don't, because we got resisted Shadow Claw farm down. Boston now sends out Skuntank. Skuntank not going to follow suit, looking to tank a Hydro Cannon. Boston invests the protection. The opponent then send out Tentacruel, and Tentacruel is swiftly answered with Donphan. The opponent farms up to a potential Scald, and we see Boston invest a very good Protect Shield, blocking up that super effective hit. Donphan, much like Ursaring, cannot tank a hit for shit. Boston fires off the Trailblaze. Donphan able to Mud Slap farm down before the opponent reaches the next Scald. Donphan leaves, loading energy and 1 stage boosted. Back out, comes for Alligator, investor protect shield, blocking up the body stand. Boston then goes for the wham, bam, combo play, serving up the Big Mac and the fries. Trailblaze secures the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is Guzzlord. Guzzlord, in theory, going to wall both these charge moves, but Boston's already boosted by 1 stage, and that crunch just did so much damage. Shiny Guzzlord, looking to carry the opponent's team, but unfortunately the fast move pressure is just far too much. Skuntank gets it deep into the red. The opponent is going to reach a crunch. Donphan might be glassy, but in the Ultra League, we're able to withstand the damage and take that game. In the next battle, we see the Battle of the Bears. The Panda Bear has the advantage due to typing. Boston pivots into Donphan. The opponent farms up a boatload of energy before sending out Giratina. Boston gonna fire off the Trailblaze, which of course is resisted, but does vamp up our oppressive Mud Slap damage. I imagine Boston's just going to get this Giratina as low as possible and look to Shadow Claw farm it down with Ursaring. Boston tanks the Dragon Claw, throws 1 Mud Slap and the next Trailblaze. Trailblaze actually forces a Protect Shield, and that is like best case scenario. Boston says, Donphan, thank you very much for your contribution. He now sends out Ursaring. Ursaring going to be looking for a huge farm down here. Ursaring does have access to close combat, so the opponent might be reluctant to send back out the Panda Bear. Boston gets a huge Shadow Claw farm down. He spams the switch, switching out into Skuntank. Tell me we caught the Night Slash. The opponent goes to the Night Slash bait, which is an easy tank for Skuntank, and out comes Cresselia. Boston does have super effective crunch, but he's like, nah. We're being DJ and just going to go straight vamp up. Crunch would do a lot more damage than a Trailblaze. However, Trailblaze does come with a 100% chance to vamp up your attack. So after throwing the Trailblaze, these poison jabs are going to start tearing through Cresselia. Once again, we're just going to fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze goes unshielded, leaving Cresselia deep into the red. Boston going to put it all on Ursaring to be the king of the bears. Boston sends out Ursaring. The opponent sends back out the Panda Bear. Boston fires off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze forced the final Protect Shield. That now vamps the power attack. This boosted Swift will be removing the Panda Bear from the field of play. Cresselia gets Shadow Claw farm down, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Ursaring into Gyarados, 2 very glassy Pokemon. It's nice to see Gyarados here, as we want it as far away from Donphan as physically possible. Boston goes straight for the Trailblaze. Trailblaze goes unshielded. Boston gonna look to invest a Protect Shield. Do 6 Shadow Claws knockout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I think the opponent might have banked the charge move there, or switched out a Dragon Breath short because they're going to get farmed down. But either way, that Gyarados is now insanely low. The opponent sends out Kangaskhan. What the hell is this doing in the Ultra League? I have never seen Kangaskhan, but here it is. This thing did get buffed this season and got quite an interesting selection of charge moves. It learns Earthquake, Crunch, Outrage, Thunder Punch and Power Up Punch. Thankfully for us, the opponent just fires off the Power Up Punch, which doesn't do much, but does also vamp up their attack. Boston, like 2 can play at that game, fires off the Trailblaze, returning the favour. The opponent this time gonna fire for a Crunch, and ouch, that hurts. The opponent then looks to switch, sniping with Decidueye, but Boston shows cat-like reflexes and sends out Skuntank. Decidueye does have access to Brave Bird, but the opponent very quickly reveal they are not running it, firing off the Spirit Shackle. Skuntank now looking primed to sweep. Crunch removes Decidueye from the field of play. The opponent still with 2 Pokemon remaining. The opponent sends back out Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan unable to reach a charge move. Skuntank fires off 1 further Trailblaze, once again vamping up his attack. Boston poison jab farms down Gyarados and emerges victorious. GG's and thanks for playing. Boston's triple Trailblaze, triple Shadow team goes a perfect 5-0 in set number 1. Uh-oh, we see that Core Breaker again in the lead. This opponent smartly throw before we reach the Swift. Ursaring, all my days, just about hangs on 1 HP and a dream. Boston gets off some very much needed chip damage. That is still one very healthy Virizion. Boston now aligns his Skuntank. Gonna use it as the damage sponge. Do we go for the 1 shield and full poison jab farm down? No, I don't know why the opponent didn't throw the second move, but I'm not complaining. Out comes Skeledirge. Boston pivots into Donphan, baiting out Gator. Once again, Boston full sending the Trailblaze. Trailblaze goes unshielded. Get that Gator off my screen. Skeledirge temporarily re-enters the field of play, and the opponent very quickly top left. In the next battle, oh boy, this is another Core Breaker. Boston once again going to have to stay in quite a poor matchup, as Donphan is so bad into flyers. Boston fires off the Swift, doing around 50% of Pidgeot's health. The opponent fire off the Feather Dance bait. Of course they Feather Dance. Pidgeot users love to bait. Boston definitely not complaining as the opponent is going to be forced to throw again. Oh my gosh, this opponent's played this opening matchup so poorly. No, that's CMP as well. My. Sorry, Mr. Opponent, but you, sir, are in shambles. The opponent has given up a Protect Shield in a really dominant matchup. Boston now sends out Skuntank. Skuntank gets a huge energy lead, and out comes Greninja. Boston fires off the Trailblaze, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Boston, with a 2-0 shield advantage, looks to call the bait. Oh, huge cojones on display. The opponent fire off the Night Slash bait, then send out Venusaur. Venusaur, of course, does not have a good matchup here. That crunch does so much damage. Boston then pivots out, making the catch onto Donphan. Donphan gets one shot from absolute full health. Skuntank now gets the Poison Jab farm down. Boston finally going to start investing Protect Shield. The opponent continuing to Night Slash bait, but no bait will be saving this opponent's fate as the Trailblaze is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Oh boy, Shadow Machamp. Boston aborts into Donphan. I'm not sure if the opponent was lagging or just looking to see what we were doing. Machamp is so glassy. Their mud snaps have already got the opponent below half health. Boston shields up the cross chop, returns fire with the Trailblaze. Trailblaze forced to Protect Shield back, and the opponent really needs to pivot. Cross chop, not the hardest hitting move, but Shadow and Shadow Crime, oof, that does a lot. Donphan able to withstand the damage, reach the Body Slam. Body Slam goes unshielded, removing Machamp from the field of play. The opponent now sends out Trevenant. Oh, trainer, this Trevenant is in for such a bad day of it. We have two very good answers for it. Boston sends out Ursaring, farms up, catches the Seed Bomb onto Skuntank. What a beautiful play. The opponent answer our Skuntank with Gator. This is by no means a good matchup for them. Boston not willing to shield Skuntank, saying the Big Bear has this game for us. If the opponent shields this could get very dicey. Boston fires off the Trailblaze, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Boston, of course, going to be obliged. Invest in protection of the Hydro Cannon. We've already seen that pretty much one-shots us. Boston maximises his farm, fires off the Swift. Swift will easily knock out. The question is a boosted Trailblaze going to be enough to knock out Trevenant? Moment of truth. Is Trailblaze enough to knock out? Uh-oh. Shadow Ursaring's bulk about to be put to test. It's just a Seed Bomb, boy. You can survive. Oh my gosh. Boston, you had me sweating there, buddy. But we managed to take a very close game. In the next battle, another Virizion lead. Boston has managed to beat every Virizion to this point in the video. Let's see if he keeps that streak alive. We fire off the Swift. Swift goes unshielded. The opponent overfarm. If it's a Sacred Sword, it will be removing us from the field of play. Sacred Sword is thrown. The opponent then send out Aurorus. This is a pretty scuffed matchup. The opponent does resist our Poison Jab damage. The Trailblaze does hit for super effective, but doesn't do anywhere enough to one-shot. Boston tanks the Weather Wall, fires off the Trailblaze. We then see the aggressive pivot into Donphan. Donphan looks for the Mud Slap Snipe, which we're unable to get before the next Weather Balls reach. Boston invests the Protect Shield, then commits to that Mud Slap farm down. The opponent send back out Virizion. Virizion instantly greeted with the Body Slam. Body Slam forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. Last time we saw no Leaf Blade. Please be a Sacred Sword. This opponent is running Leaf Blade. We put all our hopes and dreams on Skuntank. The opponent sends out Hippowdon and Boston instantly concedes the match. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see the ever annoying Zygarde. This thing is so bloody bulky. Boston fires off the Trailblaze that hits for neutral, but you can see Zygarde is so thick. Zygarde usually hits like a wet noodle, but Ursaring makes it look like a very attack-weighted one. Oof, that did so much. Boston unable to reach the next Trailblaze, settles for the Swift. Swift goes unshielded. We managed to get them fairly low. Boston now sends out Donphan. Donphan looks for the Mud Slap farm down, which we're unable to get before the next crunch is reached. The opponent taking an absolute eternity to send out a Pokemon. Out comes Drapion. Trainer, this cannot be your best answer for a Mud Slapper. Boston fires off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze forced to Protect Shield, and we see the pivot into Skuntank. Boston showing great recognition, recognising whatever's in the back must be very weak to ground. Out comes Tentacle, the opponent running a double poison strategy. Skuntank gonna fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze hits for neutral and of course vamps up our attack. We see the instant no shield deployed from Boston. Boston, like, I'm just gonna mud slap you to death, trainer. The opponent fire off the acid spray bait, which is an easy tank for Skuntank. Boston fires off the crunch, goes for an undercharge, looking for the poison jab farm down afterwards. But the opponent invests their final protection. Once again, Boston has no interest in shielding up the skunk. The opponent fires off yet another acid spray. We then see the simul swap of Donphan greeting this Drapion. Drapion gonna be able to survive the body slam, reach a charge move, but Boston has 2 protect shields, 2 high beyond, gonna shield up the crunch. The opponent recognise the game's over and concede the match. GG's. And that is just about going to wrap things up for set number 2, where Boston goes 4-1. In the next battle, we see another Gyarados in the lead, but this one is a Shadow, and the Dragon Breaths are tearing through us. Boston again goes straight for the Trailblaze. Trailblaze once again goes unshielded, and this is an easy shield for Boston. Unless the opponent pivots, they are definitely getting farmed down. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down, send out Golurk. Oh boy, these boosted Shadow Claws going to tear through Golurk. Golurk even invest the protection on the double resisted Swift. Boston very grateful to see the Mud Slapper on the field of play. We send out Donphan. Oh, the opponent full send an Earth Power. We almost get one shot. We managed to get the Simul KO. Boston putting all his hopes and dreams onto Skuntank. Out comes Gardevoir. You know what the time it is. It's going to be time to tap our way to victory. The opponent pivots back out into Gyarados. Gyarados gets poison jab farm down. Gardevoir follows suit, also dying to the poison jabs, and we take that game. The tough leads continue. We safe switch into Donphan, and this is quite a tricky safe switch. Unless we land the Trailblaze, Boston able to sneak the Trailblaze through 2 protect shield. Jellison's pacing this season is now straight force to the first 3 surfs. Can we mud slap farm down before the next surf is reached? Yes, we can. Donphan is a Jellison counter confirmed. Back out comes Pangoro. And they're now going to have to deal with a boosted up Donphan. Body slam forces the protect shield. They're going to need close combat to knock us out. The opponent does indeed full send the close combat. Very nice play from the opponent. We send out Skuntank and we see the battle of the dark poisons. Boston gonna fire off the crunch. Crunch will do more raw damage, but not too much as both moves are resisted. I imagine we're just going to look to soak some energy before eventually pivoting back out into Ursaring. Boston banks a charge move for the road, makes the catch back onto the bear. A non-stab Aqua Tail is something Ursaring tanks reasonably well. The opponent doesn't even commit to the crunch, so again we're going to see the no shield deployed. The opponent likely looked to snipe at some stage. Switch timer pops up, back out comes the Panda Bear. We hold strong, fire off the Swift. Swift forces the opponent's final protect shield, and it's all down to Skuntank to clean up. Skuntank re-enters the field of play, fires off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze gets the opponent low. Is this enough for a close combat? Hopefully not, as Boston instantly clicks no shield. The opponent fire off the Night Slash. We're able to poison jab farm down. Back out comes Drapion. The last crunch didn't do too much damage, but this one is boosted, and crunch is going to be all she wrote. Very well played game. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we see Gator in the lead. Last time I said that was a good lead. As they were a Shadow, they almost one-shot us with a Hydro Cannon. As this one is the regular, Ursaring should be able to survive one, and the opponent will have a tough time of Shadow Claw farming us down. At least that's the theory. Let's see it in practice. Yeah, that Hydro Cannon's a pretty easy tank. The opponent then switch out into Giratina, looking to catch a Swift. Boston sees it coming in, fires off the Trailblaze, looking to vamp up his attack. The opponent looking for that Shadow Claw farm down, but Ursaring refuses to die. Reach the Swift. This is double resisted, but all chip damage is very welcome. The opponent does commit to that aggressive Shadow Claw farm down, but it's cost them almost all of their health. Boston sends out Donphan. Donphan usually not a particularly good damage sponge, but thankfully Giratina has a pretty non-existent attack stat, so we are going to be able to tank multiple charge moves. The opponent fires off 2 Dragon Claws. We easily withstand the damage. The opponent sends back out Gator, and Boston is going for that kill shot. Trailblaze! Boo, go shielded. Boston now has a 2-0 shield advantage. What could possibly go wrong? Let's go Skuntank. What could we possibly lose to? Not only do we have a 2-0 shield advantage, the opponent giving us a huge energy lead as well. Boston, of course, going to respect the Hydro Cannon. The opponent banks a Hydro Cannon for the road and then send out Typhlosion. Oh boy, this could get dicey if the opponent commits to a Blast Burn. which they don't. I think they would actually win this game because Gator beat Skuntank in CMP, so the Blast Burn would have forced the final Tech Shield. The opponent could win CMP here. But the opponent didn't do that, so Boston has the Protect Shield to hide behind, can shield up the incoming Hydro Cannon and fire off the Trailblaze. So yeah, if you're watching Mr. Opponent, if you would have committed to your win con, perhaps you would have won, but you did not, so Boston is going to emerge victorious. GG's to both trainers. In the next battle, we see Ursaring into Dragonite. Two very, very glassy Pokemon. Boston fires off the Swift, of course, forcing him an early shield advantage. It looks like the opponent played to the CMP tie. They did not win. The opponent thinking Dragonite is the king of CMP. Unfortunately, trainer, you've got a 176 attack compared to our 178. Ursaring able to force a 2-0 shield advantage. Boston now sends out Skuntank. Skuntank looking for that one shield. Full poison jab farm down. The opponent fire off the harder hitting superpower. And then send out a Lowland Sandslash. My god, do I wish we had Flamethrower in this situation, as Flamethrower would cleanly one-shot. Boston fires off the crunch, then pivots into Donphan. Donphan shields up the Ice Punch. The opponent looks to reach the next. They don't get there. Out comes Dragonite. Boston gonna fire off the Trailblaze, fully undercharged, knowing it will not knock out, and he's gonna be able to farm down afterwards. Donphan leaves loaded. The opponent sends out Drapion. Boston once again fires off the Trailblaze. I think I would have thrown a Body Slam here, but regardless, that did so much damage. Boston now sends out Skuntank. Skuntank can survive any one move. The opponent fire off the Crunch. Skuntank withstands the damage, reaches his own Crunch, and from this range, Crunch is going to be all she wrote. GG's. Heading into what I believe is the final battle of today's Shoutcast. We see Ursaring into Excadrill, another one of the buff Mud Slap users. Boston gonna fire off the Trailblaze, which likely forces the protection as the opponent probably thinks running close combat. Boston does force himself an early shield advantage. The opponent gonna fire off the Scorching Sands, removing us from the field of play. We now send out Donphan. Donphan looks for that Mud Slap farm down, which we're able to get, and we get a huge energy lead. Out comes for Alligator, and we're seeing Boston go for a very rare bait. No, this is why I always say don't bait. Oh man, a lot of Gators have been respecting the Trailblaze. The one time we bait, of course the opponent calls it. Again, Boston farms the Trailblaze, baits with the Body Slam, this time forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent then fire off the Hydro Cannon one turn before the next Body Slam's reached, and Boston going to put it all on Skuntank to clean up. Out comes Nidoqueen. This matchup is the epitome of the bait game. Poison Fang essentially do nothing, and the Earth Power will pick up that one hit KO. The opponent farms the Earth Power. We see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent go for the Poison Fang bait, and that bait will be sealing the opponent's fate. Boston gonna fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze will be removing Nidoqueen from the field of play. Back out comes Gator. Boston Poison Jab farms down, and we take that game. Huge shout out to Xboston, as always. An absolute pleasure to shoutcast your battles, buddy. Keep them coming. So before I end today's video, I'd just like to take a second to apologise for the lack of content recently. If you've seen my community post, my two youngest have had chickenpox recently. They've now got a viral infection. I've been down the hospital, so bear with me as content really isn't my priority. Of course, family always comes first. However, if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.